Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to take a look into the castle unit of the Dravidian, Urumi Swordsman. Let's look into the lore of this unit. During the tripartite struggle for Kannauj, while it was the elephant forces for the Palas and the cavalry for the Pratiharas that led the lines for their kings, the Rashtrakutas depended on their famous and feared infantry fighters. These highly trained fighters had strengthened not only the Rashtrakutas but throughout ages have been the mainstay of almost all the southern kingdoms. The building blocks of such fearsome warriors were laid centuries ago by the many Kalaris spread across the Malabar coast. These Kalaris practiced one of the most ancient martial art form ever known to mankind, Kalaripayattu. Every youth, male or female, were expected to undergo military training in their local Kalaris. During the years of conflict between the Pandyas, Cheras and Cholas, these Kalaris proved to be a very dependable source for warriors. Along with hand-to-hand combat and healing techniques, the Kalaris practiced in a range of weapons, from small knives to spears. But the most signature weapon in their arsenal has to be the whipped sword called Urumi. One or more whip-like flexible swords, ranging up to 5 feet in length, were attached to a single hilt. They were excellent in concealing, as people can coil it around their waist and lash it upon their enemies, taking down multiple foes at once. That is how the inspiration for the Urumi swordsman might have come to life in Age of Empires. Another piece of lore that we must address while talking about melee-based Dravidian units is the wood steel. It was an indigenous technique for producing crucible steel with a higher carbon content known throughout southern India. The steel was exported as cakes of steely iron and was a predecessor to the famous Damascus steel. The swords made from this steel had an incredibly hard and sharp edge that could easily rip through opponent's armor. The Urumi swordsman comes with a special attack. This special attack inflicts two types of damage. The first one is to the primary target of the swordsman, who gets double the normal damage from the unit. The second damage is done to the surrounding units of the Urumi swordsman. This special attack becomes available once the unit is charged up. The silver bar indicates the current charge level. A full charge takes about 11 seconds for the elite version. Every time the Urumi swordsman gets fully charged, the special attack is inflicted. It's a great ability for taking on multiple targets, which aptly resonates the style of the Urumi swords in real life. Now let us look at the stats of this unit. It does have a decent attack, but lacks in armor, especially in pierce armor, while the HP is mid-level at best. At the first glance, the Urumi swordsman may not look much, but let us analyze each of these stats in detail. As we saw, the pierce armor is light, which takes its toll against ranged attacks. When compared to a generic imperial unit like the Champion or other infantry castle units like the Teutonic Knights or the Japanese Samurai, the Urumi swordsman is bound to take more losses. Though one advantage the Urumi swordsman can have against ranged unit when compared to these other melee units is the speed. As we can see, the Urumi swordsman is the fastest and can catch up to the ranged units much more quickly than any other melee infantry units. Against weaker melee units like the pikemen or the halberdiers, the Urumi swordsman is at par with other elite infantry units. But against stronger infantries like the Champion, it can fall behind other heavily armored castle units like the Teutonic Knights, but still wins over most of the infantries like the Samurai and the Champion in this case. Even against imperial cavalry units like the Paladin, the Urumi swordsman performs at par with other infantries, only falling behind highly armored units like the Teutonic Knights. The Teutonic Knights might seem to come out better than the Urumi swordsman in the previous scenarios, but when you factor in the cost of the Urumi swordsman, who costs 65 food and a mere 20 gold, when compared to the Teutonic Knight, who comes at 85 food and 40 gold, the balance of power will change. For 500 food and 500 gold, we will be able to produce 7 Urumi swordsmen and only 5 Teutonic knights. When we pitch them into battle, the Urumi swordsman easily wipes out the heavily armored Teutonic knights without taking a single loss. So even if in a 1v1 scenario, the Urumi swordsmen might not look top of the class, but when we factor in the cost, they are certainly one of the deadliest infantries in the game. Also, upgrade of Wood Steel, a unique tech available to the Dravidians, helps out against such armored units. Now that we have looked into the abilities and stats of this unit, let us try to understand how they fit into the battle plan. If you look into the roster of the Dravidians, they have a very good lineup of Imperial ranged units. On the other hand, you will find yourself limited in terms of Imperial cavalry units. They don't have the final upgrade for any of their stable units. Now looking into their civilization bonus, their elephant archers do have 25% faster attacks. Also, they have a unique tech, Medical Corps, which regenerates the health of elephant units over time. So taking all of this into account, we can use the elephant units, primarily the elephant archers, as the main force, as they can easily tank for the infantry thanks to their Medical Corps upgrade, while the Urumi swordsmen can then run into the enemy units, making use of their great speed, lashing out their charge attacks. Now let us summarize our take on this unit. Urumi swordsmen have a special attack which inflicts additional damage to its target and surrounding enemy units over time. Has comparatively low HP and armor, is one of the fastest infantry units in the game. Is very effective against armored units with the aid of the Wood Steel upgrade, is a very cost-effective option and can stand their ground against most of the units when deployed for equal resources. My final take on this unit is that the unit's special ability aptly justifies how the Urumi as a weapon must have been used to take on multiple units in the past. The speed of the unit could actually correspond to the years of martial training the fighters had to partake in their collieries before being deployed into the battlefields. Also, their reluctance of using typical armor seems to have contributed to their speed while compromising their armor stats. All in all, the unit is a fine addition to the game which has delivered well in going hand in hand with its original lore while also giving the player a strong and unique infantry unit. That was all for now. I really hope you liked the video. Please do consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Thank you.